I know one truth. It's time for the Jedi to end. Guys, the Last Jedi trailer is still just bouncing around in my mind. This glorious symphony of sounds, this feast of glorious images of Rian Johnson goodness, and I cannot wait for December. I honestly cannot. But alas, today is not Friday, today is Saturday. We need to stay on target. We're talking about Rebels today. Star Wars Rebels, a television show on Disney XD, a television show that I have, for the most part, enjoyed now for 3 seasons. I just think, for me anyways, it sort of falls in this kind of awkward, unavoidable middle ground where it's a Star Wars television show, and because of that we expect things as dramatic as explorations of the dark side and things as gorgeous as these vistas of Mustafar and Tatooine, etc., etc. And unfortunately it finds itself on Disney XD, which is a children's television program, and therefore some of the characterizations, some of the plot lines are kind of needed to be reined in just a little bit, and then it has a smaller budget, so visually it can't do all the things that we kind of expect from a Star Wars movie, and or a television show as well. If you weren't aware, Star Wars Clone Wars, which was on Cartoon Network, was kind of a pet project of George Lucas, and he actually funded each episode himself, and therefore that show was really able to have this very cinematic look. Like, he even insisted on it being 2:3:5 aspect ratio, which is really bizarre for a television show, and especially an animated one at that. And even in moments where I've really liked Star Wars Rebels, I think, for me anyways, the thing that actually made those episodes, like the finale of season 2, so exceptional was the fact that they were continuing certain Clone Wars plot lines that I was really invested in. Darth Maul, Ahsoka versus Vader, my goodness, I've been waiting since watching the Clone Wars to see that happen. So actually, for me, my favorite episodes in Star Wars Rebels are the ones that really blazed their own trail. So for instance, Sabine and the whole Mandalore plot line this season, I really thought was actually the best Rebels episode that we've ever gotten. It really stood in its own. It didn't kind of ride the coattails of Clone Wars or anything like that. So nonetheless, Rebels has had to do a lot with a little, and in that I can commend it. I have actually grown to like the characters and the stories all the more as the seasons have gone on. At the same time, if I was to hear that the show was coming to an end, I wouldn't protest. I would be really excited to see where they're going next. Maybe we'll get that Ahsoka Tano spinoff we've been looking forward to. Maybe we'll find an awesome television show that takes place between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. I mean, there are 30 years there to explore. And having read some of the novels that take place between there, like Bloodline, there's some really interesting political stuff that happens. And we also have in Mark Hamill one of the greatest voice actors around. And how cool would it be if we had Luke Skywalker cameo every once in a while in a television show that took place between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. Also, I definitely would never, ever, ever say no to an Old Republic series. I think my only hesitation for an Old Republic series in an animated fashion is that would probably pump the brakes on it being a live-action show, which I would want more, or a movie, which I want even more. So that's the only thing that keeps me hesitant in saying I want an animated Old Republic television show. Nonetheless, looking forward to the panel today. Really excited to see what they have to say. We might even get the first 2 episodes of season 4. Only time will tell. All right, let's go to the Star Wars Rebels panel. And let me just say this right off the bat before I say anything else. Mastermind Dave Filoni, who is behind the creation of the show, has directed a lot of episodes, written a lot of episodes, is just a fantastic man. He is so inspirational. Every single thing that he said, every single question that he answered was so articulately spoken with such care and intention. He really listened to every single thing that was asked of him, and he's also a very, very cheeky man, having a lot of fun kind of dodging and evading questions. And you could too just sense that as a fan, he hates having to say no. He hates the fact that he has to say, I can't answer that right now. But he also knows, too, that it's going to be even more exciting if we just wait to find out the answers in the show. And we also got the announcement. As I predicted, Season 4 is our final season, and probably looking to the future and what could potentially come next as far as animated television shows, I think it was very interesting that Dave Filoni came out initially in a t-shirt that said, Ahsoka lives, ? And then while we watched the premiere episode of Season 4, he went backstage and changed and came out with a shirt that said, Ahsoka lives, ! Now, we should keep in mind that the character of Ahsoka is really Dave Filoni's baby. He created her for Star Wars The Clone Wars, and it was definitely one of his main hopes and desires that she should come back in some way for Star Wars Rebels. So this could definitely be just his way of essentially plugging the character, getting the audience to respond to that and go, hey, Lucasfilm, look how much people love Ahsoka. Shouldn't we do a spin-off show about her? But at the same time, I would not be surprised at all if we found out in a few months that they are in fact working on an Ahsoka Tano spin-off show, which I would be totally down with. And if they were able to fold that into a television show that took place between episodes 6 and 7, and we found out that she was still alive, that would be even more legitimate and would not cancel out, you know, the canonical statement from Yoda that when Ghani is the last of the Jedi, will Luke be, because technically she's not a Jedi anymore. Anyways, lots of Star Wars theorizing here. Nonetheless, very exciting panel, really a lot of fun, loved it. So I just got out of a panel that for me was probably the biggest surprise of Star Wars Celebration, which oddly was Battlefront 2. I personally am not a gamer, and this does not come from the fact that I don't like playing games. I in fact love playing games far too much and lost a year of my life in college when I lost myself in the black hole of Elder Scrolls Oblivion. And so therefore kind of since then I've kind of actively avoided playing games, but after getting out of this panel, it might have to change. I might have to just go out and buy a PS4 and buy Battlefront 2, because what they showed us was amazing looking. Not only was it amazing looking, hearing about all the different campaigns and the fact that now in Battlefront 2 we're going to have maps and campaigns that take place in all eras of Star Wars, the prequels, the originals, and the sequels, which is super awesome. But the real thing that clinched it for me, that got me really interested, is the fact that there's going to be a single player mode and the story is going to take place between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, and it's going to be told from the perspective of the Empire. And here's the big thing. It's canonical. So the story that's being told is actually happening in the Star Wars universe that we're already investing in the television shows and the movies. And that just, I need to know what happens. I need to know what it means to the characters, what it means to the universe, and also they told us specifically that you will, in certain campaigns, get to play as Luke Skywalker and Kylo Ren. So therefore, what's shown in this game will be affecting what we might see in things like The Last Jedi. And it was also just fantastic hearing about all the research that they'd done. Obviously talking to the Lucasfilm Story Group, but also reading the other books that take place in that era, Bloodline, Lost Stars, Aftermath, and really making sure that the story that they're telling fits into this universe and to the story that we're already investing in. And that just goes a long way for a game, and again, might just pull me back into the gaming world for a little bit. But it seems like it's going to be worth it. Alright, day number 3 in the bag, and I concluded the day with an excellent panel focusing on the Disney parks and specifically the Star Wars lands that are being built in them, both in Orlando as well as in Anaheim. It was an excellent panel. Doug Chang was up there again, Pablo Hidalgo was up there again, a gentleman named Scott Trowbridge, who is the head Imagineer kind of over the Star Wars lands, and they basically just broke down specifically what they're doing there, keeping obviously a lot secret because the lands won't open until 2019, but some of the cool things that they talked about specifically just how being fans of the property, they've for a long time, their entire lives, have wanted to go to Star Wars. They wanted to be in it and experience it. And so the way they describe this land is we're not going to relive other people's stories, but to live our own. And that was one of the main things that I took away, how interactive this place is going to be. So for the Millennium Falcon ride, for instance, we're actually going to have a level of control over that experience. And, you know, obviously there's a specific destination that we'll all get to, but as they described it, you can either bring the Falcon home without a scratch, or, you know, crushed and banged up quite a bit. And then they went on to say something really interesting. Depending how you treat the Falcon, that can then affect your experience walking out of that ride and into the rest of the park. So there is a lot of interaction and a lot of, it sounds like, you know, characters walking around that you'll be able to interact with. Obviously, you'll be able to have blue milk, they promised. Another really fun little detail was this pod racer engine that'll be roasting meat in one of these open cafes. And so yeah, just a lot of fun details like that. And it was really fun too hearing from specifically Doug Chang, who comes from a movie background obviously, and he just kind of talking about how cool it is that obviously on a movie set, you know, we have these excellent sets, but in the end they're kind of just, you know, these plywood facades that you can see around the corner of, and when you touch things, all that styrofoam, not real rock, and here it's all real. But as opposed to a film set, which usually just has to look good at a certain time of day, morning, noon, night, or whatever it's intended to be filmed, and in a certain kind of weather, rainy, sunshine, this set has to look good in all kinds of light and all kinds of weather, and just needing to consider all those details like that. So yeah, again, just another really excellent panel with a bunch of very nerdy guys just talking passionately about this excellent thing that we're all going to be able to experience quite soon, and an excellent way to conclude the day. So there it is for day number 3, signing off. Until tomorrow, guys. Cheers.